Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of soil. But before getting into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get started. Soil is a complex natural body composed of organic matter, minerals, gases, and water, supporting plant and animal life. It's a vital ecosystem that provides essential nutrients and water for plant growth and acts as a habitat for numerous organisms. The hidden world beneath our feet. Soil is far more than the dirt we walk on. It is the living skin of the earth and the foundation of life itself. Most people see it as something ordinary, even unclean. But in truth, soil is a complex system that sustains every form of life on land. It is a mixture of minerals, air, water, and organic matter, but what makes it extraordinary is the life it contains. Within a single handful of healthy soil live billions of organisms, bacteria, fungi, insects, and earthworms, all silently working to recycle waste, break down organic matter, and create the nutrients that plants need to grow. This hidden world is vibrant and busy, yet invisible to the human eye. When we look at the ground beneath us, it seems uniform, but soil is layered like the pages of a book. The uppermost layer, the topsoil, is dark and rich, where roots spread and life flourishes. Beneath it lies the subsoil, storing minerals and water, and further down, weathered rock and bedrock provide the foundation. The topsoil, though only a few centimeters thick, is the most precious because it directly feeds crops, forests, and grasslands. Without it, fields would be barren, forests would wither, and food production would collapse. Soil has been essential in the story of humanity. The first civilizations rose where fertile soils allowed farming, along the Nile in Egypt, in Mesopotamia between the Tigris and Euphrates, and in the valleys of the Indus River. Wherever soil was rich, people thrived. When it was degraded, societies declined. Even today, every meal on our plate can be traced back to soil. The rice, wheat, fruits, and vegetables we eat all begin their journey beneath the surface, nourished by nutrients created by the hidden life of soil. Yet, for all its importance, soil is fragile. It takes hundreds, even thousands of years for nature to form just 1 inch of fertile topsoil. Rocks must break down into tiny fragments, organic matter must accumulate, and microorganisms must weave everything together into a living system. But all of this slow creation can be undone in a single season of misuse. When forests are cleared, when land is overformed, or when heavy rains wash away exposed ground, soil is lost forever on a human timescale. This makes soil both a wonder and a warning. It is the ground we take for granted, yet it holds the key to food, water, air, and climate. It is the silent partner in every harvest, the unseen guardian of every forest, and the ancient foundation of every city. Soil is not just beneath us, it is within us, for the minerals of the soil pass into the plants we eat, and from plants into our own bodies. In a very real sense, we are made from soil. To begin a journey into the story of soil is to begin with this truth. Beneath our feet lies a hidden world, teeming with life, shaping our history, and holding our future. It is a resource that demands respect, because without it, life on land would not be possible. Soil is not dirt. It is the living foundation of the earth itself, the birth of soil. Soil, the foundation of life, has a story that begins long before plants, animals, or humans ever existed. It is not something that appeared suddenly. It is the result of a slow and patient process that takes hundreds, even thousands of years. The birth of soil begins with rock. Towering mountains, sharp cliffs, and vast plains of stone are slowly broken down by the forces of nature. Rain seeps into cracks and freezes, splitting stone apart. Winds scrape and carry away fragments, while rivers and waves grind rock into smaller particles. The relentless rise and fall of temperature expands and contracts the surface, weakening it further. Over time, these mighty geological forces reduce solid rock into grains of sand, silt, and clay, the raw ingredients of soil. But broken rock alone is not enough. For soil to truly come alive, it needs the touch of life itself. As the first plants take root in the cracks of stone, their decaying leaves and roots add organic matter. Small organisms, from bacteria to lichens, arrive and begin breaking down this material. Insects, worms, and other creatures gradually make their homes in this developing ground, mixing minerals with organic remains. Every death of a plant, every fallen leaf, every decayed root enriches the forming soil. Slowly, lifeless dust transforms into fertile earth. This process is astonishingly slow. To form just a single inch of topsoil may take centuries. Imagine the passing of entire generations of humans while nature quietly, invisibly, builds this delicate layer. Soil, therefore, is not a simple resource. It is a treasure shaped by time itself. Each patch of fertile land we see today is the result of a story that has been unfolding for thousands of years, a collaboration between rock, climate, and living organisms. As soils develop, they take on different characteristics depending on the environment. In wet, tropical regions, they may become deep but quickly leached of nutrients by heavy rainfall. In cold northern areas, soils may form slowly and remain thin. On floodplains, where rivers deposit fresh sediments each year, soils become fertile and productive. In every case, the type of soil that emerges is a reflection of the local climate, vegetation, and geology. The birth of soil is, in many ways, the birth of possibility. Without soil, plants could not grow. Without plants, animals did not survive. And without both, humans could never have built civilizations. Soil represents the meeting point of geology and biology, where lifeless rock is transformed into living earth. It is the ultimate example of patience in nature, for nothing in the human world is created so slowly and destroyed so easily. To understand how soil is born is to understand its value. It is a reminder that the fields we farm today and the gardens we enjoy are not ordinary ground, but the product of thousands of years of natural work. Every fertile patch is a silent gift from time. And as we move forward in this journey, we begin to see soil not as a static thing beneath our feet, but as a living history of Earth itself, shaped by rock, enriched by life, and essential for all that follows. A living ecosystem, though it may look still and silent, soil is alive. Beneath the surface lies one of the most complex ecosystems on the planet. When we look at a handful of healthy soil, it might appear as nothing more than a mixture of dark particles, but hidden within it is a bustling world, a city of life so dense that its scale is hard to imagine. Scientists tell us that in a single teaspoon of fertile soil there can be more organisms than there are people on Earth. This means billions of tiny, unseen lives existing side by side, each playing a role in keeping the soil alive. Earthworms tunnel through the ground, creating spaces that allow air and water to reach plant roots. Ants and termites build intricate chambers, recycling leaves and wood into nutrients. Microscopic bacteria work tirelessly, breaking down organic waste into the essential elements that plants need to grow. Fungi extend thread-like networks called hyphae, connecting the roots of trees in what is sometimes called the wood wide web. Through these underground connections, plants can share resources, sending water or nutrients to weaker neighbors. In this hidden world, cooperation and competition happen every second, forming a delicate balance. The soil ecosystem is not only a home for tiny creatures but also the foundation of the food chain. Plants rely on the nutrients released by microorganisms. Animals, in turn, rely on plants for food. Predators depend on herbivores, and humans depend on them all. This means that life above the ground is directly tied to the life below it. Without the unseen workers in the soil, crops would not grow, forests would not thrive, and ecosystems would collapse. Even the soil itself is shaped by its living inhabitants. Earthworms enrich the soil with their castings, making it more fertile. Bacteria fix nitrogen from the atmosphere, turning it into a form that plants can use. Fungi help break down even the hardest organic matter, from wood to bone. In this way, soil organisms act as nature's engineers, quietly building and maintaining the foundation of terrestrial life. This hidden world also has the power to heal. Polluted or degraded soils can sometimes recover thanks to microorganisms that break down toxins and restore balance. But like any ecosystem, soil is sensitive. Overuse of chemicals, loss of organic matter, or erosion can kill the life within it, turning rich, living earth into sterile dust. When that happens, the soil loses its greatest strength, its ability to regenerate and provide for life. To truly see soil as a living ecosystem is to change how we think about it. It is not an empty medium for growing plants, but a complex community full of life, interaction, and resilience. Each creature, from the smallest bacterium to the longest worm, is part of a system that has evolved over millions of years. And though it is hidden beneath our feet, this world sustains everything above it. Soil is not just alive, it is a universe within a universe. It reminds us that life exists at every scale, from the smallest microbe to the largest tree, and that every part of this web of life begins and ends in the soil. The types of soil. Not all soils are the same. Just as climates, landscapes, and ecosystems differ from place to place, so too does the earth beneath our feet. The soil of a desert is not like that of a rainforest, and the soil of a rice paddy differs greatly from that of a mountain meadow. Each soil has its own texture, color, and character, shaped by the rocks from which it came, the climate that surrounds it, and the life that is passed through it. Understanding the types of soil is like reading the language of the earth itself. At its most basic level, soil is made up of particles of sand, silt, and clay. The proportions of these particles determine its texture. Sandy soils feel gritty, with large grains that allow water to drain quickly. They are easy to dig and warm up fast in the sun, but they often struggle to hold on to nutrients, making them less fertile unless managed carefully. In contrast, clay soils are heavy and sticky when wet, made of tiny particles that pack tightly together. These soils can hold water and nutrients well, but often drain poorly, becoming waterlogged or hard as stone when dry. Between these extremes lie silty soils, smooth to the touch, rich in minerals, and often fertile, though easily eroded by wind and water. When these three particles mix in just the right balance, they create what is in what they consume will be no more than the freed we know of the sunset, and sunset makes up the seeds. Our soil, both fertile and forgiving, capable of holding nutrients while allowing air and water to circulate freely. Loamy soil is often called the farmer's dream, for it supports a wide range of crops and is the foundation of many of the world's most productive farmlands. Yet soil is more than texture. Its character is also shaped by the landscape and climate in which it forms. In tropical regions, heavy rains wash away nutrients, leaving behind red or yellow soils rich in iron, but often poor in fertility. In grasslands, where plants die back each year and add organic matter, soils become dark and rich, ideal for farming. In deserts, soils are dry and pale, often with layers of salt or gypsum, making life difficult for plants. In wetlands, soils are heavy and saturated, forming unique ecosystems where only specialized plants can survive. Each type of soil tells a story about the environment around it, a record of rain, sun, wind, and life across centuries. Color, too, is a clue. Black or dark brown soils often signal richness in organic matter, while pale or gray soils suggest leaching or lack of fertility. Red soils may point to iron, while white or sandy soils often reveal a scarcity of nutrients. Farmers, gardeners, and scientists alike have long read these signs, learning to understand the potential and the limits of the land. Knowing the types of soil is not just a matter of science, it is also a matter of survival. The crops that can grow, the forests that can thrive, and even the settlements that humans build depend on the ground beneath them. Ancient farmers chose their fields based on soil fertility, and modern agriculture still relies on the careful study of soil types to determine what can be grown where. In the great diversity of soils lies the diversity of life itself, from the black earth of river valleys to the red dust of tropical highlands, from the sandy stretches of deserts to the clay beds of wetlands. Soil shapes the destiny of plants, animals, and humans. Each type of soil is a character in the larger story of Earth, offering its own strengths and challenges. And just as no two landscapes are the same, no two soils are truly identical. The soil beneath us is not just dirt. It is a fingerprint of the planet, unique to its place, telling the story of its birth, its climate, and its living history. To know soil is to know the land, and to know the land is to understand life itself. Soil and human civilization. From the very beginning of human history, soil has been our silent partner. It was soil that allowed the first seeds to sprout, and it was soil that gave rise to agriculture, the turning point that transformed wandering hunters into new soil. Settled communities. Without fertile earth, there would have been no crops to harvest, no cities to build, and no civilizations to flourish. Every empire in human history has been built upon soil. 10,000 years ago, early humans discovered that they could scatter seeds into the ground and return later to gather food. Every empire in human history has no word, but they have been referred to and froze forever. The great river valleys of the world, the Nile, the Tigris and Euphrates, the Indus, and the Yellow River, became cradles of civilization because their soils were rich and renewing. Each year, floods deposited fresh layers of fertile sediment, turning the plains into natural farms. In these places, people planted wheat, barley, rice, and millet, creating stable food supplies that allowed villages to grow into cities and cultures to blossom. Soil did not just feed people, it shaped their lives. In Mesopotamia, the richness of alluvial soils gave rise to the earliest known writing, trade, and governance. Along the Nile, the black earth left by annual floods became so essential that the very name Egypt was tied to it. In the Americas, the fertile soils of the Andes and the Mississippi Valley supported thriving civilizations long before Europeans arrived. Everywhere, fertile soil meant prosperity, while poor or degraded soil meant struggle and decline. But history also teaches us that when soil is mistreated, civilizations fall. The Mayans of Central America faced agricultural collapse when their lands were exhausted. The Dust Bowl of the 1930s in the United States, caused by over-farming and poor soil management, turned millions of fertile acres into dust storms, forcing families to abandon their homes. From ancient times to modern days, the fate of people has always been tied to the fate of the soil. Soil is more than a resource. It is the foundation of culture. The foods we eat, the traditions we celebrate, and the societies we build all trace back to the ground beneath us. Rice paddies in Asia, wheat fields in Europe, maize farms in the Americas. Each is a reflection of a relationship between people and soil. Even religion and mythology have long recognized its importance, with many cultures describing humans as being formed from earth or dust, emphasizing our deep connection to the soil that sustains us. Even today, in the age of satellites and skyscrapers, soil remains at the center of human life. It grows the crops that feed billions. It holds the roots of the forests that provide oxygen, and it sustains the landscapes that define our homes. As populations grow, the demand on soil only increases, making its health more vital than ever. Civilization, in the end, is a story written in soil. Where it is fertile, people thrive. Where it is lost, people suffer. Our progress, our survival, and our future will always be bound to the thin, fragile layer of earth beneath our feet. To protect soil is not just to protect the land. It is to protect the story of humanity itself. Soil as the great provider. Soil is more than just the ground we walk on. It is a great provider, quietly offering the essentials that make life possible. Every meal we eat, every fiber of clothing we wear, and even much of the air we breathe can be traced back to the soil beneath us. It is, in many ways, the foundation of human existence, giving us food, water, shelter, and even medicine. At the most basic level, soil feeds us. The grains that fill our plates, wheat, rice, corn, barley, all grow in soil. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, and legumes owe their richness to the minerals and organic matter in the earth. Even animals that we raise for milk, meat, or eggs depend on soil, for their food comes from plants rooted in it. Without healthy soil, our food systems collapse, and with them, our survival. Yet, food is only one of the gifts that soil provides. Soil also regulates water, acting like a vast sponge. It absorbs rainfall, filters it through layers of sand, silt, and clay, and releases it slowly into rivers, lakes, and underground reserves. This hidden service keeps our water clean and our landscapes alive. In forests and grasslands, soil helps prevent floods by holding on to water, while in dry lands, it stores precious moisture for plants to use in times of drought. Entire civilizations rely on these natural water systems, yet few realize that soil is their silent guardian. The homes we live in are also tied to soil. Bricks, clay tiles, adobe walls, and earthen floors have sheltered people for thousands of years, crafted directly from the ground. Even modern construction depends on soil for raw materials like sand and gravel. In many rural communities around the world, homes are still literally made of earth, a tradition as old as humanity itself. Beyond food, water, and shelter, soil gives us medicine. Many of the world's most important antibiotics, including those that fight deadly infections, were first discovered in soil bacteria. Traditional medicines often use plants that draw their healing power from the minerals within the soil. Even today, scientists search the soil for new cures, knowing that within its hidden life may lie the treatments of the future. Soil also plays a larger role in the balance of our planet. It locks away vast amounts of carbon, helping to regulate the Earth's climate. It nurtures forests and grasslands that release oxygen into the air. It supports biodiversity, providing homes for countless creatures above and below ground. In this way, soil does not just serve humans, it provides for all life. But the generosity of soil is not endless. Like any provider, it must be respected. If we strip it bare, exhaust its nutrients, or pollute it with chemicals, it loses its ability to give. The barren lands left behind are a reminder that when soil is taken for granted, its gifts vanish. Yet, when cared for, soil renews itself, continuing to feed and shelter life for generations. In every sense, soil is a giver. It does not demand recognition, yet everything we have begins with it. To see soil not as dirt, but as a provider, is to recognize the quiet generosity of the earth itself. Beneath our feet lies the greatest treasure we possess, a living, breathing foundation that sustains us, asking only for respect in return. When you follow these two maids, their faces are all playing by, and fall in silence leads. The fragile balanced soil may seem strong and eternal, but in truth, it lives in a delicate balance. It takes thousands of years for rocks to break down into fine particles, for organic matter to build up, and for life to create the rich earth that we depend on. Yet, this balance can be lost in a matter of decades, sometimes even in a single season. The thin layer of soil that covers our planet is fragile, and its ability to sustain life depends on countless factors working in harmony. In nature, soil constantly renews itself. Leaves fall to the ground, roots decay, and creatures large and small recycle life into new nutrients. Rain nourishes the land, while wind carries seeds to fresh ground. When these cycles flow undisturbed, soil grows richer and stronger, supporting forests, grasslands, and crops. But when this rhythm is broken, when soil is stripped of its cover, when nutrients are taken without return, when water erodes its surface, the balance begins to tip and the land becomes weak. One of the most fragile aspects of soil is its top layer, often just a few inches deep. This is where organic matter collects, where microbes thrive, and where plants take root. Without it, the earth beneath becomes barren and lifeless. Farmers have long known the importance of protecting topsoil, for once it blows away in the wind or washes into rivers, it may never come back in their lifetime. Civilizations that forgot this lesson, like those in ancient Mesopotamia or parts of Central America, saw once fertile lands turn to desert. The balance of soil is also tied to water. Too much rain can wash it away, while too little leaves it cracked and dry. Healthy soil can hold water like a sponge, but when overworked or compacted, it loses this gift, leaving crops to wither in droughts or drown in floods. Climate change adds another layer of danger, shifting rainfall patterns and intensifying storms, placing even more pressure on the fragile systems that keep soil alive. Even the organisms within soil depend on balance. Worms, fungi, bacteria, and insects all play a part in recycling nutrients, breaking down waste, and aerating the earth. If chemicals poison these communities, or if monoculture farming removes the variety of life that they depend on, soil becomes sterile, unable to sustain healthy growth. A field may look the same to the eye, but beneath the surface, the invisible web of life may already be broken. This fragility is easy to overlook. To most people, soil seems endless, stretching beneath fields, forests, and deserts alike. Yet the truth is that only a thin skin of fertile soil exists on the planet, and it covers just a fraction of Earth's surface. Beneath it lies rock, clay, and sand, that cannot support crops or forests. The balance of this thin layer is what makes Earth unique among planets, what allows life to flourish here and nowhere else. To recognize the fragility of soil is not to see weakness, but to see responsibility. Like a glass vessel or a flame, soil must be handled with care, for it sustains everything we hold dear. It reminds us that even the strongest civilizations, the tallest forests, and the richest harvests rest upon something delicate, something that can be lost if we fail to protect it. The balance of soil is the balance of life. It is a reminder that all living things are interconnected, and that the ground we walk on is both a gift and a trust. To keep this balance is to ensure the survival of our world. Threats to soil. The soil beneath our feet, though ancient and resilient, faces growing threats from human activity and environmental change. For millions of years, it has built itself patiently, layer upon layer, through natural cycles of life and decay. Yet today, this foundation of life is being stripped away faster than it can renew. The threats to soil are many, and they reach into every corner of the planet. One of the greatest dangers is erosion. When forests are cleared, when grasslands are plowed too deeply, or when fields are left bare, the protective cover of vegetation disappears. Without roots to hold it together, soil becomes vulnerable to the forces of wind and water. Heavy rains wash it into rivers, turning them muddy and robbing the land of its fertility. In dry regions, strong winds lift fine particles into the air, creating dust storms that can travel for hundreds of miles. Each year, billions of tons of fertile soil are lost this way. Soil that took thousands of years to form, gone in moments. Another threat is the exhaustion of nutrients. Modern agriculture demands high yields, and in many places the same crops are planted season after season. Without careful management, the soil becomes drained of its richness. Fertilizers can replace some nutrients, but they often disrupt the natural balance of the soil, leaving it dependent on chemicals instead of living cycles. Over time, fields that once produced abundant harvests grow weak, and the land struggles to recover. Pollution also poisons the soil. Industrial waste, pesticides, plastics, and heavy metals seep into the ground, altering its chemistry and destroying the life within it. Once fertile earth can become toxic, unable to grow food safely. Cities expand over farmland, covering the soil with asphalt and concrete, sealing it away forever. Beneath parking lots and highways lies earth that will never breathe again. Climate change adds another layer of pressure. Rising temperatures dry out the land, causing soil to lose its moisture. Intense storms strike with increasing force, washing away fragile topsoil in hours. In some places, once fertile regions are turning to desert, a process known as desertification, leaving behind barren landscapes where nothing grows. For communities that rely on the land for survival, this is not just an environmental crisis, but a human one. The threats are not only physical, but biological. The living web of microbes, fungi, and insects that gives soil its vitality can be disrupted by monoculture farming, overuse of chemicals, and loss of biodiversity. When these communities collapse, soil loses its ability to renew itself. It becomes just dirt, lifeless and unable to support growth. What makes these threats so alarming is their invisibility. Soil does not cry out when it is damaged. Its loss is silent, hidden beneath our feet, revealed only when harvests fail, rivers flood, or lands turn to dust. By the time the signs are clear, the damage is often severe and difficult to reverse. Yet, despite these dangers, soil is not helpless. With care, it can heal. But acknowledging the threats is the first step. To ignore them is to risk losing the very ground that sustains us. The challenges are great, but so too is the possibility of renewal, if humanity chooses to act before it is too late. restoring the earth. Though soil faces many threats, it also holds within it the power to heal. Restoration is not only possible, it is happening all around the world, quietly, patiently, and with results that remind us of nature's resilience. To restore soil is to restore life itself, for when the ground is cared for, everything above it thrives in return. One of the simplest yet most powerful ways to restore soil is by giving it back its cover. When fields are left bare, they are vulnerable to erosion, but when covered with plants, even simple grasses or cover crops, the soil is protected. Roots hold it in place, leaves shield it from the sun and rain, and organic matter returns to the earth as plants decompose. This natural blanket prevents the land from losing its fertility, while also nourishing the life within the soil. Farmers in many regions are embracing methods that work with nature rather than against it. Practices like crop rotation, where different plants are grown in succession, help replenish the nutrients that the soil loses. Legumes, for instance, fix nitrogen into the earth, enriching it for the next crop. Agroforestry, the planting of trees alongside crops, offers shade, prevents erosion, and draws water back into the land. Organic farming avoids the overuse of chemicals, allowing soil's living organisms to flourish once more. These practices may seem small, but multiplied across fields and farms, they can transform entire landscapes. Restoration is not limited to farmland. In degraded regions, communities are planting trees, reforesting hillsides, and reviving grasslands. What was once barren desert can slowly return to green. As roots break up hard soil, leaves fall to build organic layers, and wildlife returns to newly fertile ground. In Africa's Sahel region, local farmers are using traditional techniques to trap rainwater and revive exhausted soils, bringing back crops and stability to their villages. In China's Loess Plateau, one of the most eroded landscapes in the world, decades of restoration work have turned dusty hills into fertile fields once again. These efforts prove that even the most damaged soils can recover when people choose to nurture them. Urban areas, too, play a role in soil restoration. Gardens, green roofs, and community farms return life to paved-over spaces, reconnecting people with the ground beneath their feet. Composting food waste and returning it to the soil completes the natural cycle, reducing pollution while rebuilding fertility. Even small patches of green in cities remind us that soil is not gone, only waiting to be cared for. Restoring soil also restores water, climate, and biodiversity. Healthy soil absorbs rain, reducing floods and replenishing underground reserves. It captures carbon from the atmosphere, helping to slow climate change. It provides a home for countless organisms, from earthworms to rare fungi, each one playing a role in keeping the earth alive. In this way, soil restoration is not just about saving the ground, but about saving the planet itself. The greatest lesson of restoration is that soil responds to care. Unlike stone or steel, it is living. It breathes, grows, and heals when given the chance. It asks only for time and respect. With patience, what was once dry and lifeless can become fertile and full of promise again. The story of soil restoration is a story of hope. It reminds us that while much has been lost, much can still be regained. The earth beneath us is not beyond saving. If we act with wisdom and urgency, we can return balance to the land, and in doing so, secure the future for ourselves and generations to come. The future in our hands. The story of soil is, ultimately, the story of our future. Everything that lives on earth depends upon it. Every tree, every blade of grass, every harvest that feeds us, every breath of oxygen we take. Yet this precious resource is limited, fragile, and increasingly threatened. The choices we make today will decide whether the soil remains a source of life or becomes a memory of what once sustained us. Our future is written in the ground beneath us. If we continue on a path of overuse, erosion, and pollution, we risk losing fertile soil faster than it can be replenished. Scientists warn that much of the world's farmland could be degraded within a single century if nothing changes. Without healthy soil, food security collapses, ecosystems weaken, and humanity faces hunger and conflict. But this future is not fixed. Soil is alive, and like all living things, it responds to care. What we destroy, we can also choose to restore. The responsibility lies not only with farmers or scientists, but with all of us. Every person depends on soil, whether they realize it or not. From the food we eat, to the clothes we wear, from the wood in our homes, to the medicines we rely on, all are gifts of the earth. To protect soil is to wreak care, protect ourselves. We must recognize that our lives are tied to the ground we walk on, and that its fate and ours are the same. Education and awareness are powerful tools for change. When people understand the value of soil, they begin to treat it with the respect it deserves. Schools, communities, and governments must work together to spread this knowledge, teaching future generations that soil is not dirt to be dismissed, but a living system to be cherished. Technology, too, has a role to play, from precision farming that reduces waste, to innovations in composting, to global efforts at reforestation and land management. The solutions already exist. What is needed is the will to use them. The future of soil is also the future of balance. Humanity must learn to take only what the land can give, and to return what it needs to heal. This is not a call to abandon progress, but to redefine it, not in terms of endless extraction, but in terms of sustainability, harmony, and stewardship. True progress means living in a way that allows both people and the earth to thrive together. The story of soil ends where it began, with life. It has sustained countless generations before us, and it can sustain countless more if we choose to protect it. Each seed planted, each tree restored, each handful of compost returned to the ground is an act of hope. Together, these small acts can grow into a movement powerful enough to shape the future of our planet. The soil beneath our feet is not just the past we inherit, it is the future we build. The choice is ours. Will we allow it to vanish, or will we rise to protect it? The answer will echo through the centuries, carried not in words, but in the richness of the earth and the life it continues to nourish. The future, quite literally, is in our hands.